Alright guys, we're going to start on the Marianai Build for Jack, part 4. But before we get into that, I want to tell you about these guys. I've been telling you that you can get these sample jars at Home Depot. Well, for me to be fair, I want you to know that you can get the same thing at Lowe's for the same price. Also, another good thing for you guys to remember is always look on their return shelf, because you can get some really good deals on that. Anyhow, the next video I'll show you how I'm going to texture the roofs for the flat roofs on this project, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Alright guys, now we're back, and as you can see, I've got the roofs done. The other thing I need to do now is I'm going to hit it with a little bit of hairspray so it actually it doesn't come out when you put it together. The only caution you need to do is when you're going to do a roof that fits inside of a structure like this one, what you need to do is make sure you got all your edges nice and clean so it fits in there. Also, if you're going to attach any stuff to this, it's always good to have a nice clean surface here, which I intend to do with this, because this is going to get some handrails when it sits on top of this part of the building right here. Anyhow, the next thing we're going to get into is I'm going to start making, or figuring out how I am going to put the loading platform on this side here. So stay tuned and we'll see how we can accomplish that little task. We'll be back shortly. Alright guys, so now we're going to get on to the loading platform that's going to go under the one of the canopies on the left side of the building as you're looking at it from the front. Anyhow, I went ahead and built this little stanchion. This is, let me see what number that was. That was number 255 square tube. It's evergreen product again. I gave it a little bit of an angle. That angle is like 10 degrees. Yeah, it sounds weird, but I actually had to do some math. This would be the platform, and as you can see, maybe you can and cannot, but I did put diamond plate up here, and I used the highways and byways striping for the caution on both of these. Now, the problem I had was this. Let me back the camera out a bit. This building right here is really not to scale. It should be a little bit longer and a little bit taller. But because Jack is limited to room, I had to make some modifications to it. And some of the modifications I made was to make it shorter, both lengthwise and height-wise. So I had to make sure that when I put this on top of here like this, which I do have a locating square for it, oops, it's kind of tight, but that's alright, so we'll just get it up there for a temporary type deal. I had to make sure that the clearance between this and this was enough for a 6-foot person to stand under there. And it just so happens that this cheap ruler that I bought, this HO scale ruler that I bought, has some people on the back. So this guy here is the 6-foot guy, and I put him here like that, and I definitely have enough clearance to go under here. The next thing is they're going to get handrails, of course. There'll be one on this side, there'll be a half of one in the front here, and there'll be another one on this side. Problem I'm having is I don't know if I want to use stairs or ladder and safety cage. I like to use this, but to me the construction of it seems to be out of scale. When it is mounted in the ladder, it's a 3-foot diameter, so I'm assuming that that's prototypical. I'm not sure because I've never been close enough to one of these cages to find out. But anyhow, this eventually will sit under here. And the back side will be right up against the building. And like I said, I do have enough room for a 6-foot guy to stand under there. The other dilemma I had was I never did see on my tour exactly how this guy was built. So I took my modeler's license and did what I thought was fair. Anyhow, what happens is when the people crawl up here, they'll be piping up here, of course. They will take their hoses and they'll walk along the catwalk on the truck to each hatch and fill up each hatch. But the way I'm going to have it set up is there'll be one pipe going into a T, so there'll be 2 hoses that could be filled the truck up. Anyhow, lots of decisions to make. I can't mount anything on the building yet until I get all of this little details worked out. Anyhow, we'll see how it goes. So stay tuned for some more. We'll be back shortly. Alright guys, while we wait for the glue to set up on the platform I just showed you guys, we're going to start the construction of the superstructure that comes out of here and comes down and supports a couple of pipes that go up to this tower. What I'm going to use for that is going to be this number 175. Like I told you guys, this is very, very useful styrene strip. I became a carpenter overnight, and I'll show you guys why. And let's see if we can get in there close enough. But as you can see right there are my measurements. And you guys that are carpenters or in the construction business know that you take a piece of wood and you draw your measurements out. Well, that's what I did. So this is going to be, back this out again. So this is going to be 1 1/4 inches or 37 millimeters for you guys who use the metric system. It's going to come out 2.5 inches or 65 millimeters, and it's going to be 6 inches tall or 153 millimeters. So we also are going to use, thanks to Jack for sending me all of this different stuff, right here are footings, and I'm going to use those to support these towers. Anyhow, let me get set up and we'll start the process going. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Alright guys, we're going to start with the horizontal pieces, and they are 1 1/4 inches. So I have my chopper set up at 1 1/4 inches, and we're just going to go ahead and cut up 4 pieces. There's 1. There's 2. Alright, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the horizontal pieces that come out from the building. And those are going to be at 2.5 inches. So I need to reset my chopper and we'll be back in a minute. Alright guys, what you're looking at now is my makeshift square. I don't have any of those fancy schmancy tools that make squares with the magnets and all that kind of stuff, so I have to do my own. Anyhow, Using the edge of the table here and hoping that the factory cut is square, I went ahead and taped down one of my triangles, or a square, whatever you want, and then I also taped down the one on the top. Now to make sure that that is square, I take my little square and put it here in the corner. And guess what? I got a 90-degree angle there, which is good. Next thing I did was make sure that all my parts are exactly the same. Remember what I say, guys, that the better your cuts and measurements, the better build you'll have. Anyhow, on this one, on the uprights, I went ahead and marked off where I'm going to put the cross members. Anyhow, I guess we'll get started with this and we'll see how it turns out. So stay tuned and we'll be back shortly. Alright guys, we're ready to start assembling this structure or superstructure, whatever you want to call it. I put the wax paper underneath for less chance that the project will stick to the wood. I think I heard that somewhere where you use wax paper and it won't stick. Anyhow, I'll do the first one and we'll keep it square by putting this other little teeny square that I got right up against the edge here, and we'll continue from there. So I'll do the first one and then I'll do the rest in super speed, if you want to call it that. Anyhow, again, I'm using my Model Masters glue. I seem to like this better for my purposes, but there are people that like other types of glue, and that's okay. Whatever floats your boat, I guess. So put that guy in there. Make sure he's square up against the top. Make sure they're square against here, and then we'll do the second one. I'll put him in there and we'll make sure he's square. Anyhow, I'll go ahead and continue this and we'll see how it goes from there. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Alright guys, there's number one. That'll be the outside. It would be the side structure for the support. So anyhow, I'll go ahead and continue with the rest of this, and when I bring you back, the structure will be pretty much completed. So stay tuned and we'll be back shortly. Alright, one more thing I wanted to tell you guys about the tower. These right here are going to be the footings that will go under the superstructure. I had to modify two of them because if I put them in the way they were, then the structure itself would have been away from the building, and I don't want that because I want to secure the structure to the tower. Alright guys, what you're looking at now is the completed superstructure for the tower, and the only purpose this got in life is to carry two pipes into the tower and come down and go into the ground. Their property is not that big, so I guess they had to go overhead rather than go on the ground. But anyhow, like I say, if you take your time, you'll get nice square buildings and structures. The good thing about scratch building is that when you get done, after all the frustration you had, you get to pat yourself on the back and say, I did that. Anyhow, let me show you what this is going to look like attached, well, semi-attached to the building. And we'll be looking like that. And so the operation would be that when the trucks leave the sanitizing area, they drive around, they go around the silos, and they come through here. And when they leave here, nothing happens to the truck here. It's just a way for them to get through. It goes into the main building to get loaded up. Anyhow, this is not finished yet. I still have the footings to put on here and get it painted and so on and so forth. So that will probably be in the next video. The next thing I want to show you guys is, let me leave this here, the completed or semi-completed loading ramp. As you can see, I got the ladder on there with the safety cages. Got my handrails on there, all the yellow markings for caution. And when we put this down, put the truck right up to it, And as you can see, they can load 2 of the cells on the truck at a time. When they finish loading those up, the truck will pull forward and they'll load up the second 2. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this part 4 of Marianai Build for Jack. I don't know how many more videos it's going to take because I still have a whole bunch more to do on this, so you guys will just have to stay tuned and watch the progress as it goes on. Anyhow, for now, your questions, comments, input, shares, likes are all welcome. For now, that's all folks. BNSF 6951 out.